in a nutshell, is Chrono Trigger. And you know I love the damn game, but Smarty man, this is your first time with this game, so out with it, man!
Alright, well, honestly, when it comes to Chrono Trigger, I could say... a theme or a plot device in almost every sort of medium, specifically video games, as I could probably name 5.
Whoa.
What?
I'm having some crazy deja vu right now.
Oh yeah? Do tell.
Yeah, like, I'm saying, like, this exact moment, this exact sentence was said out loud, and I fucking remember it.
And it's a little ridiculous to
say.
Whoa, that fucking just happened.
I gotta get out of here.
Wait a minute, where are you going?
Anywhere but here, man. If there's one thing I can't do, it's time loops. I hate time loops.
No, listen, Kaylyn, you can't walk out on something like this. This isn't a game of Call of Duty.
You play Call of Duty?
That's not the point, it's a metaphor. Listen, we need to act quickly in case of a fixed point in time or something like that. I've dealt with this sort of thing before. And who knows what's in charge of this thing that we're involved with, or who.
Who?
Who?
Hi! I bought a present! Motherfuckers, I brought them a present! Hell hath no fury like a moderately sized country's dictator scorned with a puppet!
Oh my god, you're right. The multiple outcomes, the infinite number of possibilities is staggering.
You know what we have to do.
How do you know so much about all this? Time travel and everything.
Simple, Kaylyn. I watch way too much Doctor Who for my own good.
So, how do we go about doing this? You know, go the road often traveled, do things in order we don't remember anything.
Nah, I'm sure it'll come to us. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah, okay. We were going to be doing the critical reception portion of our review for Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger? We're talking about Chrono Trigger?
Oh, God. Chrono Trigger was absolutely a bestseller. The game's SNES and PS1 iteration shipped more than 2.36 million copies in Japan and 290,000 abroad, and the first 2 million copies were essentially sold in the first 2 months.
Forget the first 2 months, think of all the times the game has been re-released. If there's any indication of just how well the game did critically and among fans, it's that it's been released again and again and again. There's your original SNES release, of course, and then there was the PS1 version re-released in Final Fantasy Chronicles, and then there's the DS version and the iOS and Android versions, though you might not want to remember those mobile versions because they kinda suck.
Wait, how do you know so much about the various releases of Chrono Trigger?
Smarty, you really don't have to ask. I own just about all of them.
Jesus!
Don't touch them!
Critics praise Chrono Trigger for its fantastic yet not overly complex story, simple but innovative gameplay, and high replay value afforded by multiple endings. Nintendo Power called it Square's biggest game ever, citing that its improved graphics, sound, and gameplay overpassed RPG titles. It won multiple awards from Electronic Gaming Monthly's 1995 Video Game Awards, including Best Roleplay Game, Best Music in a Cartridge-Based Game, and Best Super NES Game.
Aside from the positive response given by all of the critics, the game itself has left its mark in the world of RPGs, inspiring many a game, and of course created a legacy for itself. Re-releases happened for various consoles over the years, sequels, and even 2 fan-created games were created in the game's honor. Though to be fair, these games got cease and desist orders handed to them directly from Square, keeping the finished products from hitting public release. Which is a real shame, because some of these fan games were going to be gorgeous recreations.
And as you can see, I've got quite the collection of Chrono Trigger games myself.
And again, why do you own all of those releases of Chrono Trigger?
Because the spirit of the fandom flows through my veins! And anyway, come on, are you really gonna give me this face of judgment while we're here at MAGFest? I'm sure that Lotus Prince is downstairs in the dealer's room right now looking for anything and everything Suda 51.
I do not regret one thing about this.
You raise a very solid defense. And on that note, let's try and follow our futuristic footsteps by looking at the story of Chrono Trigger. The game commences in the year 1000. You are introduced as the silent protagonist Kronos. Much like the Doctor, he uses the power of friendship to show that he actually has a personality. On the first day of the Bicentennial Fair, where people come from all around the party and to celebrate the birthday of the Kingdom of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, I'm guessing by that look I may or may not have done something wrong.
Go to your corner.
But why do I...
To the corner?!
Fuck.
Now, let me be your guide who actually knows what she's talking about!
The game starts in what is considered to be present day at the year 1000 AD. You play as the silent protagonist, Chrono, who wouldn't have any personality at all if not for the positive character descriptions given by all of Chrono's friends and fellow party members. You wake on the first day of the Millennial Fair, a celebration of 1000 years of the Kingdom of Guardia. Originally, Chrono is supposed to meet with his inventor friend, Luca, who's debuting an awesome new invention at the fair. But once you get there, you run into a cute, bubbly girl by the name of Marl, who insists that you spend time doing everything with her before seeing the invention. Finally, the time comes to meet Luca, who's debuting a teleportation device. When Marl volunteers to test the device, the pendant she's wearing gives a sudden strange reaction, and she's sucked into a great unknown void. Using Marl's pendant, Luca and Chrono follow behind only to find that it has transported them to the year 600 AD. Learning that somehow this pendant is the key to opening time gates, Chrono must now lead his friends on an adventure through his world's history and future to rescue comrades and save the planet from a bizarre, otherworldly fate that could only be battled by use of time travel.
Can I come back now?
Yes. Yes, you may.
Ah, finally. Oh my god, that corner is filthier than Bennett's anime shelf. Anyway, so Chrono Trigger's storyline in a nutshell. It's a fun time-traveling adventure. A very simple trip through time to save a friend story that always lends for endless possibilities. What I really like about it is actually how Chrono's friends and party members actually play a vital role in developing his personality. Characters like Luca and Marl. They are his friends. They each influence Chrono to make decisions, leaving an impact on his personality. And on a personal note, it's one of the more realistic things to me.
I love the variety you get when you visit the same locations during different time periods. Every time you travel to a new time period, you see large changes in landscape and weather conditions, and you can really see the progress of civilization in this fantasy world. And you meet people with lots of different mindsets and thought processes, really clearly depicting how different people and groups felt about different circumstances given the time they are living in. The game has really been written in such a way that it makes this strange world feel really alive with a rich, full history.
So what you're essentially saying is it adds a layer of realism to the game. As time goes on, so does the voice of the people.
Exactly.
Now, one issue I see with the story of Chrono Trigger... What now?
If you're about to do what I think you're about to do...
Say something bad about Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, that. If you're about to say something bad about this particular title, Smarty... I suggest you tread lightly.
I'm not getting out of this one, am I?
Nope.
What I was gonna say was, well, this game sort of suffers from what I like to call Gordon Freeman syndrome. Hang on, I got this.
Please.
Well... Remember how I said earlier that Chrono's friends and party members actually play a vital role in developing his personality? Well, that's it really. Chrono's friends and party members are literally the ones developing his personality. It sucks because while I do like this, at the same time I'm struggling with the fact that I'm playing the silent protagonist. I don't know what his moral code is, his opinions, nor do I know what his motivations are. It's basically like he's being pulled into this game kicking and screaming.
Hey, Chrono! Magus is trying to take over the kingdom of Guardia! You should totally stop him with your big, strong arms! Well, that's a yes if I've ever heard one!
So, aside from that little issue of mine, I really like the story of Chrono Trigger. It's a fun, simple trip through time to save a friend story that always lends for endless possibilities.
Well, I guess that critique could have been a lot worse.
Well, in that case, I guess I can talk more about the notion of...
Nope, that's it! We're done! Next segment!
So, on to the gameplay, and, well, seeing as I am not the one with the multiple copies of Chrono Trigger at my very disposal, I'm tagging myself out.
I have been waiting for this all year.
If I may say so, the one true ultimate way to play Chrono Trigger would be in its original Super Nintendo release. If you can't get a hold of the original cartridge, I strongly suggest you check out the Wii's Virtual Console release, since it's the exact same game. Strangely enough, the version I recommend the absolute least is the PlayStation and PlayStation Network re-releases. The PS1 disc can be found inside the Final Fantasy Chronicles set, packaged alongside a re-release of Final Fantasy IV, both of which had horrendous loading times before getting into fights. The only good thing that came from this release were some amazing anime cutscenes spliced in throughout the game, animated by Akira Toriyama's very own Bird Studios, the same guys who animated Dragon Ball. There were also a couple of additional endings added to the game, though since they weren't in the original, I personally could live with or without them. If you want the cool anime sequences but none of the lag, I honestly do recommend the Nintendo DS version. Battles load seamlessly, and you can control whether you play your game classic style with the D-pad and other buttons, or DS style by poking commands on the touchscreen. I like that the menu gets moved down to the bottom of the screen so that you can see the entire beautiful screen while battling. It's a nice change. Plus, there's extra endings, and there's new dungeons, and this Pokemon-esque monster collecting and raising challenge added, if you're into that. Not really something I think the game needed, but I'd rather there be more content than less, or even ruined content. Also, the game has been slightly retranslated. If you've ever looked up info on the original text of the game, you'd know this retranslation isn't perfect, but it's actually miles better than even the original translation. And for that alone, for me, it seemed completely worth it to make yet another purchase of the game. The DS version had a simple port over to iPhones and Androids, which seems pretty cool, but I've found the touchscreen navigation and mechanics to be severely lacking. Otherwise, it's still the same game we all love. No matter which version you get, though, it's all the same great game at the core, and none of even the worst porting issues really completely ruin that experience. Just go get a copy for whatever system you have already. Those of you who have played many other JRPGs, especially from Squaresoft or Square Enix, are likely familiar with the active time battle system. Of course, active time battle can be turned on or off, so enemies will attack you even while you're making menu selections when it's on, or the game will wait for you to make your decisions when it's on wait mode. You can make this choice right at the start of the game, or do it in your menu later. A time bar will, of course, fill up for each character, and once the bar is full, you can then choose to fight, defend, or use an item, magic, or tech skill. Also similar to many other JRPGs is a linear-style story with a non-linear map. The game has a gorgeous overworld that begs to be explored, with music and atmospheric changes from time period to time period. Once you find yourself in a more specific location, like a forest or a castle, you're taken to another map where enemies will now appear on screen, which is different from what you might be used to in other traditional JRPGs. By seeing your enemies on screen, you can either choose to fight or avoid battles. It takes a while before your characters will start to learn magic, but once Specchio starts teaching you how to perform magic at the end of time, you can finally whip out some pretty significant abilities. Marl will largely serve as your healer, Luca performs fire damage, Chrono uses lightning, and so on. These become really useful as you start to learn techs, double techs, and triple techs. Basically, your characters each have special abilities that are unique just to them, and eventually they can be combined with 2 or even 3 characters at a time. Different character combinations perform different unique tech combinations. Chrono and Frog are probably best known for their double tech X-Strike. Ring of Fire is an awesome triple tech that requires Chrono, Robo, and Luca, causing massive full-screen fire damage. Your characters, also like most other JRPGs, earn experience points to level up. Your max level in the game is 99, though it doesn't take being level 99 to beat the game. There's plenty else to do in the game aside from strictly following the storyline and getting into battles. There's tons of mini-games, especially found at the Millennial Fair in 1000 AD. You can beat up a giant robot or drink tons of, soda, or throw beanbags at enemies. There's even a point in the middle of the game where you do this wicked awesome underground street race. Dude, so fun! What's especially fun is the addition of New Game Plus. It's a term that Chrono Trigger was the first to use, although it wasn't really the first game to implement it. But with Chrono Trigger, New Game Plus meant that once you ended your first playthrough of the game, you could go back with all of your equipment to play the game again from the beginning. Only this time, you can choose to fight the final boss at basically any point in the storyline, giving you one of 12 endings, 13 if you have either the DS or iOS versions of the game. Seriously, it's possible to beat the final boss right at the very beginning of the game, by yourself, equipped with nothing more than a mop. Try it as a challenge sometime, then brag to all of your friends.
And just one more thing I gotta talk about.
Okay, listen, I gotta tag myself back in. We're just moving on.
What? But no, wait, I was just getting to the good part.
No, I gotta step back in. I mean, I know you love your Chrono Trigger and whatnot, but you literally took up so much time that I could get in like 5 rounds of Cards Against Humanity with the guys.
I am the Magfest.
Tom, what are you doing? Is that my toothbrush?
No.
Dude, can you like get out of here? I'm in the middle of doing something.
I sent you to the fun corner?
Fine. Let's go, Jesse.
I don't even know why I'm here. Come on, Joe. Yeah, I should go bathroom. Dun.
Anyway, so I very much enjoy the gameplay of Chrono Trigger. As a guy who really isn't all too familiar with JRPGs, it is a perfect jumping on point for those of us who have really never swam in the JRPG pool. I really like that it holds your hand at first while still maintaining the same attitude of just being a fun game. Also, 13 endings!
Yep.
Sweet Jesus, that's probably one of the only games of this generation that I know of that was able to cram so much shit into one cartridge. I mean, when it comes to like the new generation, I know only one game like that is Heavy Rain.
Well, I gotta tell you, one of my favorite endings out of the whole... But what about the context of, like...
Spoilers! Okay, so on to the overall presentation of Chrono Trigger, and I'm pretty sure that it's just gonna be your standard run-of-the-mill SNES graphic. Oh my god, this game was way ahead of its time for a SNES game. The colors stand out and set the mood for each sequence, the changes in landscape and weather conditions, which over time as you travel show the progress of civilization. All of the locations are absolutely astounding. The various towns, the Kingdom of Guardia, the Millennial Fair, each and every various place feels just alive in this game, man. Hell, I would go so far as to say it's one of the best looking RPGs on the Super Nintendo. Marzgurl, what do you think about this magnum opus of a game?
It's okay.
I'm sorry, what?
It's okay. Well, like I said, now for the 3rd time, I have just about every copy of Chrono Trigger there is, and I've seen every pixel inside and out on each console it was released for. So when I say it's okay, it's pretty much just okay.
What's your favorite version of it?
Oh god, are you okay?
No!
You? God, I'm so sorry. So sorry, I won't do that again. Oh, so sorry.
The soundtrack, however, of Chrono Trigger is amazing. Simply put, no other words can describe it. Just amazing. While most people will chalk this one up to Nobuo Uematsu for his creative stylings on the soundtrack, Yasunori Mitsuda was the primary composer for the game. Basically, the story goes that he was sick of his poor pay, and that he threatened to leave Squaresoft if he couldn't compose music. When Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu said, hey, he should compose for Chrono Trigger, the higher-ups at Square were like, "'Kay," and so he did. Nobuo lended a few tracks to the game, along with Noriko Matsueda, another Squaresoft composer.
Well, couldn't you consider this bitch fitting at its finest?
Well, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. It worked, didn't it?
I like the soundtrack of Chrono Trigger. It's very fun and knows when to pull the right punches according to the moods, and really knows the appropriate way to change over time. Out of all the tracks though, I gotta give Corridors of Time the bump for my personal favorite of the OST. It has this perfect use of simulated acoustic instruments like the tabla and the sitar. Never have I heard an example of acoustic instruments in a video game shining through.
Dude, that's my favorite track too! Good choice! The song is just so zen, and I find it to be such an earworm even outside the game. Overall, I'd say that Chrono Trigger is a great RPG that would work perfectly as a jumping-on point for someone who is interested in the genre but hasn't stepped into the pool. It has a great story, the gameplay starts you off easily and gradually grows in difficulty as you progress, and the presentation of Chrono Trigger is clear and easy to follow and understand. And with multiple endings to discover after the first playthrough, I can almost guarantee you'll keep coming back to this game when many other JRPGs of similar ilk can't boast the same thing.
So that, in a nutshell, is Chrono Trigger. And you know I love the damn game, but Smarty man, this is your first time with this game, so out with it, man!
Alright, well, honestly, when it comes to Chrono Trigger, I could say... Wait a minute. We did it!
We made it through? Oh my god!
Oh my
god! Wow.
Man.
Can't believe it. Well, anyway, keep going, man, keep going!
Alright, well, anyway, I was gonna say that, I mean, there's so much that can be said about Chrono Trigger, but simply put, I think that this game is just timeless.
You know what? No, even though I really can't stand puns, you know what? I'm gonna let this one slide. You're absolutely right. We went the correct path and everything turned out fine.
I know, and even though we went the correct path, if we didn't, I would probably know nothing about this game, and I'd be fucking kicking myself. So, I have to say thank you for that.
Thank you.
And also, thank you for coming on this episode of Last on the Bandwagon.
Thank you for having me.
And on that note, I think it's time we be hitting the old dusty trail. So, this is Smarty.
This is Marzgurl.
Been a theme or plot device in many a medium, and especially video games, as I could probably name 5. God damn it, it happened again!
What did I tell you, Smarty? What did I tell you?
That you hate time loops?
I hate time loops!
Close the fucking door on me, will they? They're lucky I don't make them experience that time they're gonna be killed in a plane crash. That's gonna be fun. Minion, bring me a beer! Made from their tears!
Mistress, I don't believe we have that, as they're still in the time loop.
We have a time machine! Time travel it up, bitch!